Hi there, welcome to Guy Stuff. My name is PJ, and today I'm going to be discussing knives. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I'm a big fan of knives. I always have been. I've been collecting knives for probably about 15 years now. But not all knives are created equal. There are some that are so much better in a survival situation. So I'd like to go through a couple of my knives in my collection. First knife I want to talk about is this. It is just your standard 3-blade folding pocket knife. The problem with these kinds of knives in a survival situation is that the blades do not lock. And in a situation where you're trying to survive, you don't want a blade that can just close whenever and slice your hand open. You need something with a fixed blade. So this one is not my choice. And the next knife that I'd like to talk about is actually the one that I carry around with me every day. This is just your standard lock blade. It's got a little latch right here that locks the blade up. And it's nice to carry around, it's been very handy, but you really don't want a folding blade or something this small in a survival situation. It's not quite big enough, so for every day, it's one I'm choosing, but not the one I'm going to choose with me when I go out. The next one I'm going to talk about is my multi-tool. This is very handy. It's got a lot of tools on it. Very few of them actually be very functional in a survival situation. The blade, it does lock, but it's too small to be of any real use, and honestly, would you want your blade to be set that far back in a survival situation? No. It's got a saw blade, screwdriver, can opener, which might be useful, and this. Does anybody know what this is? I have had this blade for over 10 years, and I have never been able to find out what this is for. Are you supposed to tie it to a string and throw it, or use it as like a plumb bob so you can find out exactly when something is vertical? I don't know. If anybody can tell me, let me know, because I would very much appreciate it. All right, the next knife I'm going to talk about is my specialty knife, which is my Kukri. This is a very nice knife. It's weighted, so it's kind of like a hatchet. Um, it is a sturdy knife. You can use this to chop wood. You can use this to hunt. The problem I have with this in a strictly survival situation is there's no crossguard. Your hand could very easily just slip up and slice open all of your fingers. And the last thing you want when you're in a survival situation is your hands to be cut open, possibly infected. Your hands are one of your most important tools, second to your brain, when you're surviving. This is a nice knife. I also have a much bigger one, this god-awful thing. Uh, this one is slightly superior to the smaller one, only in that it has a full tang, where the metal in the blade goes all throughout the handle. That is very important in a survival knife. This, however, weighs about 2 pounds. You do not want to be carrying around 2-pound chunk of metal on a survival situation. This is... You can't do anything delicate with this knife. This is basically to hang on a wall. Alright, next we're going to be talking about what I like to call the gimmick knives. These are the ones that are branded as survival knives. They usually have somebody's name plastered all over them. In my opinion, they are somewhat subpar as far as survival tools. Yes, they are knives. It's like this is a very rugged looking knife, but the problem with it is this handle is hollow. It stops right about here with a plug that is just screwed on. It's, if you really, you're not supposed to, but if you needed to wrench something and pry up with the blade, you have a good chance of it snapping right there because you don't have the blade extending into the handle. Also in the handle, got a compass, which is a selling point on a lot of these things, and it works okay. I mean, considering that it's a magnet surrounded by metal, but it's not something it's like a 25-cent compass glued into the bottom of a knife. It's not the best thing. When I said this thing is hollow, inside is a bunch of other crap. You have some band-aids, like matches with a striker in a plastic bag, I guess to keep it watertight, paper, you got a whole weight, some fishing line, and a fishing hook. Can you see that? Okay. The problem with having all of your survival kit inside the handle of your knife, one, your matches might get wet. Yeah, it does have an O-ring to keep it more, like, keep it drier, but if you lose your knife, you lose everything else. It's never good to keep all of your eggs in one basket. So, it's a harsh-looking knife. Got a saw function on the back that is completely useless. So I'm not going to use this. Okay, and now I'm going to be talking about my favorite knife and the one that I'm going to be taking out with me on my weekend of survival. This one is an aircraft pilot survival knife. This was given to me by my dad, who was in the Army probably about 20 years ago. This is from the Vietnam era. It has a stacked leather handle, 1090 carbon steel blade, which is superior to all the other blades because all the other blades I showed you are stainless. Stainless will not rust, but it also is a pain to sharpen, and it won't hold an edge near as well as carbon steel. It's got the cross guard, so your hand is not going to slide up onto the blade. And running throughout the entire handle is what's called a hidden tang, which the blade itself is forged down so it runs through, and then it's capped off with a nut, and then it's, I think this one was welded on, but it's very sturdy. You're not gonna snap the blade off. It's compact, it's not too heavy, and it will hold an edge for days. When putting together your survival kit, picking out a knife for it, you want to find a knife that can handle anything you can throw at it. You don't want to have to worry about your blade not working or snapping off. You don't want to have to put your trust into a bunch of gimmicks that people are just trying to sell you. You also want to avoid anything that is overly specialized. Anything that only has one or two good uses is not a good survival knife. So, that being said, I'm going to finish this video right now, and if you liked it, consider liking, and if you want to see more of my videos, consider subscribing. Thank you very much.